So we're back talking about. So hello, we're back talking about the guts and black powder. Back talking about guts and black powder. Today we're talking about the map Hougoumont, based on the real Battle of Hougoumont in 18, I believe 1815. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong in post editing. But yeah, today we're talking about Hougoumont, strategies, how to play it, and the map itself. The map itself is based after the real Hougoumont, and it looks very close to the real Hougoumont from what I could find. The main spawns is a gate in the back and a gate in the front, where zombies will come from. And it has a big open courtyard area and then a slightly smaller area for with two catwalks for make it a bit more challenge for being in the back. It is yeah, a great map if you want to do old guard, if you have enough sappers, of course. That's pretty much it. So the main setup for this map is, as shown on the screen in a second, this. Walls around the catwalk. Then you put seamen on the catwalk ready to shoot zombies. 3 walls on the left side of the tower, 2 walls on the right side of the tower. If you have a bigger server than just me and my private server, you will have the walls, both parts of the wall made thicker, and some walls on the main gate, because people like to camp the main gate. If you all are in this area, zombie spawns will be limited in the back, so you won't have to worry about the back, because only really one will come through, or maybe 2, 3. On higher rounds, it'll get worse, obviously, as more zombies start spawning. But having sappers, seamen, and officers should get you through this map pretty well. Of course, you need medics and priests and all that. But seaman, officer, and sapper are the 3 main classes for this map, if you want to win. Anyway, this map is really good for old guard, as I've said. In Hougoumont, there are some very important lore pieces, like the newspaper and George von Baron's note. Of course, I'll be going over these, as it is part of the map. So, starting off with the note here, the note reads, Le Haye Saint has fallen. At 8:35 in June 18th, the French and Germo-English forces fell to the masses of the undead. From what can be gathered, I believe no men have escaped the grasp of the undead. What's left of our garrison has barricaded in the attic. We have little time left, and it seems all escape attempts will be futile. We are prepared for the inevitable. To the forces at Hougoumont, best of luck to you and a good day. George von Baron. What can be gathered from this note is that Hougoumont takes place after Le Haye Saint. No one in Le Haye Saint, other than the person that made it over to Hougoumont, assuming either George von Baron or a messenger from Le Haye Saint, delivered this note. The sole survivor of Le Haye Saint is unknown, but considering where you find this note underneath a hat and by a dead horse, we can assume this person is dead. So There's no escaping the undead. Then there's the newspaper. The newspaper is going to take a long time. So we're starting off here with peace under unpleasing circumstance. Vienna, April 18th. News from English diplomats extracted from Vienna. At 10 o'clock on May 1st, an agreement was reached between Britain, her allies, and the French Empire. After a ceasefire dating almost 2 years, the French have sued for peace, or rather, an exchange of goods and a short window peace. The French have agreed to exchange an undisclosed amount of guns to the coalition forces, the return of many countries' prisoners of war, in return for the guaranteed peace. Although it seems Napoleon's army has crippled itself, various foreign countries, coalition and French client states warn of a dire situation in mainland Europe. The Austrian Empire have reported numerous cases of the blight, devastating villages in our northern territories. Russian, Danish, and Swede communications have been dead silent for months. Experts fear the worst possible outcome. After Britain's hasty evacuation from Spain, we feared the war had been lost. However, it seems this plague has crippled mainland Europe, although Britannia remains unafflicted by the grips of the plague. Our port quarantine remains in place, and regulations prohibited commercial trade from Europe. No reports of the plague have been recorded in England. For what can be gathered from this, there were hints at the map Tyrol, as it says Austria's northern territories are being devastated. And also, we know England is safe from the blight. We can also gather that the French are severely weakened from the blight, and Europe is devastated. As the French have sued for peace, the British have left Spain, the British and Austria are reporting horrible cases of the plague. Communications with Sweden, Norway, and Russia are silent. They are just not either receiving these letters or sending letters back. What can be gathered? Nowhere is safe, apart from Britain, for now. The next entry is simply titled Trade Deal with the United States. It reads, as the blight rips through Europe, it's kicked His Majesty's economy into the gutter. Rising scarcity and prices of the imported goods have stirred up quite the disaster for ordinary blokes all over England. Britannia has no place to turn to but the United States Parliament. Parliament approved of a new deal with the newly born infant. The United States of America, although the wounds from only months ago still run red. Both of our nations are up to give up our grudges for the survival of our wallets. The United States Congress expressed great uncertainty regarding quarantine measures. However, they were assured of a healthy, strict, and secure Britain. The first shipment is expected to arrive this week at Dover. It shall consist of an undesignated amount of lumber and 1 ton of dried fish. This entry implies that the blight is causing trade to end, as no country can really afford to keep trading while zombies are killing everyone. But as we'll learn later, this trade did not go well, and it appears the US has also fallen. This also has historical context, as the runes from months ago still run red. The Battle of 1812. But it seems that even after war, both nations can drop their grudges to help each other out during these desperate times. The next entry simply reads, British Army mobilises to aid her allies. Now it reads, regarding the peace agreement, Britain is to re-enter continental Europe to provide aid and supplies to ill-stricken countries. Multiple rumours have been floated relating to the sufferers of the plague being undead, man-eating freaks. His Grace, the Duke of Wellington, has addressed the public. He has exclaimed that he is furious that such rumours are being spread around. He has assured us that the afflicted are simply suffering from some disease related to Black Death. However, this isn't sitting right with Englishmen, that the entire army is being called to arms to work as hospital maids. We were able to receive an exclusive look into the task from an anonymous tip. The letter reads this: English forces to march south of Brussels. They will meet with Blucher and his men. But utmost shockingly, Napoleon Bonaparte forces will attend with them. From there, armies will tear through this plague and liberate Europe. When we play in Hougoumont and the note we can find by the dead horse, we know that, this attempt to liberate Europe did not go well. And from this anonymous tip, we can tell that this person knows of the plight, but does not know Blucher is dead. Blucher dies in Corb years before this newspaper, I assume. I'm going to say this newspaper was wrote 1815. So Blucher is dead. Well dead. Died from the plague in Corb. But this tip does know of the zombies, and it appears Wellington is trying to keep the morale of everyone, reassuring them that this is not a plague of undead man-eating cannibals, but just a Black Death mutation. As the soldiers learn, this is not true, and they will die. The next entry is simply titled, Why Is It Always the Plight? It is a shorter one from the others, so it shouldn't take much time. But this one reads, A fair many amount of uneducated readers have written to me. Why must it always be foreign news? We simply don't care. To that I respond, if we are to stop ourselves from being informed, we are savages, nothing more than pigs rolling in the mud. We must consume the news, we must learn more, for it matters what we see, but also matters what we don't. The horrors of this world must be put on full display, so we're prepared for them. We must acknowledge every single one. It's painful to hear you, but it is a duty as a civilized citizen of the first world. James Bankman, Voice of Reason. Now, the next century is not that important to the law, but it gives us some important names of some survivors that did not make it through San Sebastian. It is titled List of Those Deemed Missing After Evacuation of Spain. It reads, Official Army List of Those Missing: Alexander Birmingham, Vitorul; Alexander Smith, San Sebastian; Arthur Callingham, San Sebastian; Andrew Rogers, Barry Williams, San Sebastian; Benjamin Connor, Vitora; Blake Graham, Vitora, I'm just going to keep calling it Vitora; Carson Smith, Vitora; Caleb O'Boyle, Marines; Callum Graham, Vitora; Charles Cunningham, unknown. From this, I'm going to assume there may be a new map. There may be 2 new maps coming, Vitora and Prions. I honestly don't know how to say that. It's just a list of missing. We know Barry Williams, we know how he died by playing San Sebastian. He is the guy who raises the platform for us. He dies, and then someone sacrifices. There are 3 possible people who could have sacrificed: Alexander Smith, Arthur Callingham, or Andrew Rogers, but I guess we'll never know. The last and final entry in this newspaper, first-hand account of the Blight, Dover, April 3rd. Robert Smith of the 5th Division miraculously escaped San Sebastian, a city ravaged by war and the plague, a first-hand account of what he experienced. We pursued the French forces from Vitora. The French entrenched themselves into a large town surrounded by walls. It was named San Sebastian, apparently. Not that I heard any chaps call it by its proper name. We breached the hornwork, and me and a couple of my lads were grabbed by their sappers. The French grabbed us, disarmed us, and dragged us up the city and to a fort on the mountain, all behind the walls of the city. They threw us into a cell with a couple of Portuguese lads. We sat there for a good day or 2. Next day, we heard a bang. Our fellows must have made their way into the city. That night, one of the French officers yelled at us, locked us up, and told us not to utter a word. We heard a great deal of French screaming that night. French unlocked the cell door, a couple of them argued, and they armed us. One must figure you'd have to get the marbles shaken out of you if you're giving your mortal enemy pistols. We met cannibals who'd eat you if they could put a hand on you. They were rotting like carcasses, some said they were undead. The French said, well, we couldn't understand a bloody word the French were saying. We had a Portuguese translator, but the cannibals got their teeth into them. Peculiarly, if they sunk their teeth into you, one becomes a cannibal as well. A couple of chaps cheered because they got to legally discharge the afflicted officer. Anyways, pushed ourselves down to the fort, into the city. I've never seen more men die in a single hour. We made our way through the city, all while a cannibal blighters tried to apprehend us. We reached the edge of the city and found the hornwork surrounding it. We couldn't get to the hole we'd originally blown through, and we couldn't find a proper exit for the life of us. About ready to dive into the water when we met a lad above us. He used one of our supply hoists to lower us to the ground from the top of the hornwork. Poor fool was torn to shreds before you could blink your own eye. Another fellow went up to lower it all the way down. He didn't make it either. A jolly boat picked up what little remained of us. We were brought to the HMS Undaunted. The captain welcomed us on board before even a mile or two out of the fort. One of our guys fell to the plague. The fellow ripped into the captain. We rowed back to shore. We parted ways with our French counterparts. We travelled through the countryside. We saw more cannibals south of the sea. Once we reached a good few miles, we reached Spanish guerrillas. They showed us to the army. We made our way out of there, and we sailed out of Spain. Now, this means that the survivors of San Sebastian made it back to England. And, well, not all of them made it, some died. And throughout the entire thing, they could not tell what the French were saying. But something else I want to focus on is ship quarantine off Dover. Cruise expected to be done with Blight, page 2. What ship could this be? Well, I'm going to assume it's the American. It's the Americans. The Americans have sent a ship, but, well, the Blight has started to appear in America. Now, the ship is being quarantined, so they probably won't make it to England, but it is to know that even it is something to note that even probably the Americans are being affected, as there's really not much else this ship could be. Especially because it's underneath the trade deal with the United States one. Anyway. So, Hougoumont is a map that takes place in June. I'm going to assume the 18th. Where you play as French, German, and British forces trying to survive the Blight. It is the real-life battle of Hougoumont, but something is off. You're not fighting the French, you're fighting undead that have risen from the ground to try and kill you. Of course, it's possible that maybe one person survived Hougoumont, like in Le Hay Saint. But, of course, I don't have high hopes. Now, this map has a big lore dump, which we'll get into part of it in the next video. I'm gonna talk about Blackpowder. But for now, that's everything. I'll see you next time, and bye.